So I'm Caleb Sotelo. I'm a software engineer at OpenX. I'm part of a small team called OpenX Labs. Our goal is kind of to take new ideas and develop them and test innovations in ad tech. And so I want to just share something that my team has created in recent months. A disclaimer, I am going to be talking about something that my team built, that my company built, that I want you to all try. But in my defense, I am not a salesperson. I am a software engineer, and we built this for a reason. And so I want to just start by talking about what that reason is. As the title says, bringing control and visibility to publishers, back to publishers. So it kind of begs the question, why do we have to bring it back? Why don't publishers have visibility and control right now? So here's the why. I think, as many of you can attest to, 2 or 3 years ago, ad tech felt a lot simpler, right? Changing your ad stack was a matter of getting a tag and putting it into your ad server and, seeing changes happen. Today, your kind of web stack is inextricable from your ad stack. So these technologies have kind of blended together in the browser, and we want to figure out why. So I think there are 3 reasons. There are many more than 3 reasons, but these are the top 3 in my mind. One is proliferation of header bidding and client-side integrations. So header bidding, we've been talking about it forever. I'm not going to try to explain it again. But one kind of major feature of header bidding is that there's all this code from third-party companies happening in the publisher's web browser and happening in the user experience of the publisher's users, right? All these things these auctions and scripts are running in the browser, and they're no longer just happening in the server somewhere in someone's ad server or in the cloud. Second of all of these tags that are competing against each other in the browser are importing all these other kind of third-party other companies and functionalities. Like everyone's dropping a pixel, doing their own visibility checking, doing analytics, and there's a lot of duplicate work happening, and this just compounds the problem of so many things happening in the user's browser. Third, we have the rise of mobile screens and devices, which basically is saying, take all this complicated stuff that's traditionally happening in the desktop on more powerful machines and squeeze it into a limited amount of resources and pixels, and it just makes everything slower, right? So essentially, programmatic is swinging so far down into the browser land and the user's experience that publishers are having to try to sort this stuff out now and say, if I don't get ahead of all this complication, I'm going to start losing my users, right? And my brand is going to suffer. So we did some research. We built some crawlers, and we wanted to find out, okay, what are some of the stats around, how long things are taking, what the user experience looks like on some of these premium websites that are monetizing with header bidding. So 273 HTTP requests on average for a premium site have to occur in the user's browser before the page is considered fully loaded. What else? On the connection we tested, which was relatively fast, wired connection, that's almost 9 seconds, right? So 8.5 seconds for a full page load. That's a long time, right? There was a study put out recently by Amazon that showed some correlation between every 100 milliseconds of additional time turned out to be 1% of revenue loss. And you can find different studies that have similar results. So at the end of the day, publishers are in a world now where they're having to try and sort this stuff out for themselves. And this is a screen capture from the Chrome Network Inspector. And so raise your hand if you've ever looked at this tab before, right? So everyone, right? 3 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case, right? This was something that engineers looked at, and now ad ops folks and people who are just trying to get their websites to run smoothly are having to open this thing up and figure out, okay, who's making these calls? Why are they red? What does 500 mean? And it shouldn't be this way, right? We should have tools that explain this stuff for us and help us. And this is why we built the Chrome extension called Add Footprint, which aims to bring back some of that control and visibility to publishers. And we do that by kind of the novel feature of this extension is that we're classifying these requests that are happening in the background of a page into three kind of buckets. The first one is content, then add requests, and then creative. And I have some screenshots that will just go through, what does this actually look like? What are these categories, and why should you think about them differently in the first place? So this is a picture of the Add Footprint tool. Do I have a? There we go. So this is the Add Footprint Chrome extension open on a web page in Chrome. First of all, this is a Chrome Devtools extension. And some people get flustered by this. It's not a traditional extension where you just click a button and it opens up a window. You actually have to open the Chrome Developer Tools panel. And the reason for this is twofold. One is that it allows you to actually test how your website loads on a mobile device. So if you click this button, you can simulate running from a smaller screen, which gives you a lot of flexibility with testing. And second of all, if you write a DevTools extension, you get more access to some of the Chrome APIs and a better, more accurate look at what's actually happening behind the scenes. So once you open up the DevTools, there's a new tab here called Add Footprint, which is a sibling to the network tab we were looking at before. And then you click this button that runs an evaluation on your page. And what you'll see is a screen like this. And here are those three sections we mentioned on the previous slide: content, add requests, and add slots. So I just want to step through each of these really quickly to kind of give you a feel for why we broke it up this way and why it's useful to think about this way. First of all, content. So content is all the kind of resources that you control as a publisher. They reside on your own domains and they're delivered directly to the users. This includes the actual text or video or whatever it is that you're presenting on this page. It includes image files that have to do with that content. It includes fonts, CSS, any styling of the page. And this is not ad tech. This is all your stuff. And I realize not all of you are publishers here, but when I say your, I mean you as a publisher. Second of all is add requests. So this is where we start to get into ad tech land and really header bidding, right? So this is that first wave of requests that go out to other servers, and they do things like grabbing JavaScript libraries that are responsible for carrying out the ensuing procedures, and especially header bidding requests. So requests that go and say, hey, I have an impression, I want to get a bid for it. I think I have a slide here that actually shows what that looks like. Yeah, so you can click into any one of these sections and kind of get a more detailed view of, okay, what's going on with this section. So if you click into add requests, you'll see these are all on this particular page that we grabbed the screenshot from, these are all the add requests that happen. And we do some attribution of the partners, and you can see kind of how long they took. You can kind of get a sense of, there were actually multiple ad units on the page that were each doing their own instance of header bidding. Third of all, we have add slots. And this is what happens when you get a winning bid back from header bidding, and now you're ready to actually call the ad server and show that creative. This is actually a whole new class of requests that starts in the background. And this is going and getting the actual image file that is the advertisement, or any kind of third-party tracking, visibility stuff that might come through the partners that you load to show that creative. And I think I have a screenshot for that. Yeah, so if you click into ad slots, you can see that we've identified the different slots on this page, and you can look at them independently and say, okay, this one was faster than this one. This one took 3 times longer. And you can scroll down here and start to dig into these things and say, okay, who were the partners that were responsible for loading this particular ad slot, and why did they take so long? I'll just skip back to the home page just to wrap it up. So why do we split these things into 3 sections in the first place? Right? It's because you can actually start to optimize different aspects differently, right? So with all this complicated stuff happening, coming down into the browser, it's easy to kind of freak out and say, okay, everything's slow, it's so complicated, and you start to blame people. What we really need is to have a kind of level playing field where we can look and see, okay, who's doing what and why are they doing it, and how can I think about that thing independently and start to optimize it. So you may have noticed on these other pages, at least on this one, we give a list of advice. So how can you optimize the ad slots part of things? And there are analogous sections on the other pages that just didn't make their way into the screenshots. But you can check it out for yourself. The tool is available for free on the Chrome web store. You can download it. Our team at Labs is very interested in hearing your feedback. And we're in the process of releasing a version 2 already. We put this out last week. We're gathering feedback. We're going to put out a version 2 that incorporates what everyone is saying. There's a feedback button right in the tool. We're interested in kind of demystifying in general what's happening on the front end, and in general demystifying ad tech itself and helping people to feel like they're back in control of their businesses. So I think that wraps it up for me. I'm maybe 5 minutes early, so I don't know if we want to maybe take questions or... Yeah, do we have any questions? I know that went kind of fast, so... Yes?
Tell us more about the Labs team. How big is it? How do you choose what products to work on? And has any been gone to production for mainstream customers?
Yeah, so the question was, tell us more about the Labs team. How do we pick projects? Has any of our work gone to the mainstream? So Labs is about 2 years old now, and we're currently a 4-person team. Actually, one of my teammates is here in the audience, Dominique. So we actually, how do we choose ideas is a great question, because we have so many ideas, right? A lot of them come from within the company. Something just pops into someone's head, and they put it on our internal site, and then people can vote on it, and we think about it. Other ideas come from outside the company. So lots of ideas. Sorting them out and deciding what to work on it's something we talk about every day. As far as some past projects, we have had some things hit the mainstream. One of them is actually an Amazon Echo app for OpenX. I don't know if you guys have heard of that thing, but you can tell Alexa to install OpenX, and then she answers questions about ad tech and like what is header bidding and who does OpenX work with. So that's an example of something that we've built that went out there publicly. Not a massive project, but I think we're really starting to hit our stride and thinking about some much larger scale ideas. And we've built also a number of tools internally for things like ad quality. Yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah. All right. Any other questions? All right. Great. Thank you.